you're getting divorced and own a home, there is one mistake that could cost you thousands of dollars, or even worse, jeopardize your entire divorce settlement, because most people assume selling a home during divorce is just like any other sale, but that's simply not true. Divorce real estate is legally, financially, and emotionally complex, and the truth is most real estate agents just don't have the specialized training and knowledge to handle it correctly, and I've seen it too many times. Homeowners will pick an agent because they're a friend, a past agent that they worked with, perhaps someone who keeps mailing them postcards, or just the first one they find online, or worse, because it's actually prohibited, someone who cold calls them and violates their privacy. But here's the problem. A general real estate agent is just not trained in the legal and financial risks that come with selling a home in divorce. And that's how costly mistakes happen, because a real estate sale during divorce isn't just about getting the highest offer, it's about ensuring the sale is structured correctly, legally compliant, and financially sound for both parties. So I am Steve Enchen, your Los Angeles South Bay real estate expert, and I wanted to make this video because many of you may not know that I have two special designations in training as not only a divorce real estate specialist, but I've also been trained as a family law mediator with a specialty in real estate issues. And in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 biggest risks divorcing homeowners face when choosing the wrong real estate agent, and how to make sure you don't fall into these traps. So here's what we're going to cover. First, why some agents intentionally or unintentionally create bias or legal conflicts between spouses. Next, how a real estate agent could potentially violate divorce court orders without even realizing it, or because they perhaps just don't care. And the number one mortgage mistake divorcing homeowners make, and how it could block you from buying your next home or sink your chances of doing an equity buyout between spouses instead of selling your property. Next, why the wrong agent could leave you stuck with a huge tax bill after the sale, and most importantly, how to choose an agent who can actually protect your financial interests during a divorce sale. Now, one of the biggest mistakes divorcing homeowners make is choosing an agent who is not truly neutral. Many assume it's just easiest to work with a mutual friend, a family member, or even their previous agent. And on the surface, this might seem like a practical solution, but it often leads to serious conflicts, mistrust, and in some cases, legal disputes. When spouses have a personal relationship with the agent, even if it is just past business connections, it can create an imbalance in the transaction. One spouse may feel that the agent is favoring the other spouse, leading to a breakdown in communication and trust. And it is not always intentional, but perception matters. And once one party believes the agent is not acting in their best interests, every part of the sale becomes a point of contention. Disagreements over pricing, showings, offers, and contract terms can spiral into larger disputes, delaying or even jeopardizing the sale, or even sending a mediated divorce settlement into litigation. So another major issue is dual agency, and that occurs when one agent represents both the buyers and the sellers in the same transaction. And in any real estate deal, dual agency is a conflict of interest. But in a divorce sale, it is even more problematic, because divorcing spouses need an agent who is fully committed to representing them, negotiating the best possible terms, and keeping their financial interests protected. However, when an agent is also representing the buyer, having an agency relationship with what is now basically 3 different parties can create a huge complex mess, with each party feeling the agent is not acting in their best interests. So the buyer's agent must remain loyal to the buyer, and this can lead to lower offers, less favorable terms, and an overall weaker position in negotiations for the sellers. Or the buyer may feel that the agent is only advocating for the sellers and feel they need to take legal action. So a divorce-trained real estate agent understands that neutrality is critical, but does not mean being passive. They act as a neutral advocate between both spouses, ensuring the communication is structured and balanced so neither party feels excluded. And most importantly, they focus solely on representing the sellers, never taking the buyer's side in the transaction, and eliminating the risk of those divided loyalties. Because when selling a home in divorce, choosing an agent is not just about experience or connections, it is about ensuring that the agent can manage the transaction fairly, keeping both spouses on equal footing and negotiate in their best interests. An agent who is not trained in divorce real estate may unintentionally cause conflict, create legal issues, or fail to protect the financial interests of the sellers. So the wrong choice in representation can turn an already potentially complicated sale into an outright disaster, which is why divorcing homeowners need to be selective about who they trust with one of the most significant financial transactions of their divorce. Now, another of the biggest financial mistakes in a divorce home sale happens when confidentiality is breached. So when buyers find out a home is being sold because of a divorce, they see an opportunity to make lower offers, negotiate harder, and take advantage of the seller's situation. And unfortunately, many real estate agents don't realize how critical confidentiality is in a divorce sale, and their mistakes can cost the sellers thousands of dollars. There are 3 ways that an agent can breach confidentiality, each with pretty serious consequences. And the first mistake happens in the listing itself. Some agents unknowingly reveal the divorce in the property description by using phrases like motivated seller or divorce sale or price to sell fast. These words send a clear signal to buyers that the seller is in a difficult position, and that is when the low offers start coming in. A divorce-trained real estate agent knows never to reference the divorce or any urgency in the listing. Instead, they focus on marketing the home based on its value, not the seller's situation. The second mistake happens during showings and negotiations, where many agents might casually mention to buyers or other agents that the sellers are going through a divorce. They might think it's just small talk or a way to explain why the home is on the market, but as soon as that information is out, it changes the way buyers approach the transaction. Instead of seeing the home as a high-value property, buyers now assume the sellers are desperate, and some will deliberately make low offers, while others will try to add unfavorable terms to the contract, knowing the sellers may feel pressured to accept. A trained divorce real estate specialist knows how to control the messaging so that buyers focus on the home's value, not the personal circumstances behind the sale. Now, the third mistake happens when an agent communicates separately with each spouse instead of keeping both parties equally informed. In a divorce sale, emotions are already high and trust between the two parties is often low. So if one spouse feels like the agent is giving the other more information or taking sides, it can lead to accusations of bias and even potential legal disputes. So when one spouse believes they are being left out of decisions, they may refuse to cooperate with the sale, leading to unnecessary delays or even attempts to block the transaction. So a divorce-trained real estate agent prevents this by ensuring all communication is transparent and neutral. So major decisions such as pricing, offers, and contract terms are communicated in writing and shared equally with both spouses to avoid misunderstandings. And the sale plan aligns with any pending or confirmed terms of the divorce settlement agreement. So confidentiality isn't just about keeping details under the listing, it's about managing every part of the transaction in a way that protects the sellers from unnecessary financial losses and legal disputes. A general real estate agent may not understand how damaging a breach of confidentiality can be in the divorce sale, but a divorce-trained agent knows how to protect both spouses by controlling the narrative, managing communications correctly, and keeping the sale focused on the home's value, not the personal situation behind it. Because selling a home during a divorce isn't just a financial decision, it's a legal one. Now in California, another huge risk looms for general real estate agents because the moment a divorce is filed, automatic temporary restraining orders, or ATROs, go into effect. These orders prevent either spouse from making unilateral financial moves, including selling or transferring real estate without written mutual consent or court approval. This is designed to protect both parties from one spouse taking actions that could unfairly impact the divorce settlement, because most real estate agents don't know this, and that's where the trouble starts. A common mistake happens when an agent meets with one spouse, signs a listing agreement, and starts marketing the home without consulting the other spouse or verifying legal clearance. If the other spouse hasn't given written consent, that agent has just violated an ATRO, and this can cause major legal issues, delays, and in some cases, a sale could be completely invalidated by a court order. So another way agents make mistakes is by failing to check for those court orders that affect the sale, because many divorce settlements include specific conditions about how and when the home can be sold, including pricing requirements, how proceeds will be divided, and whether one spouse has the first right to buy out the other. Because a general real estate agent may not be aware of these legal conditions and could accept an offer that doesn't meet the terms of the settlement. And if that happens, the transaction could be challenged, leading to costly disputes and even a block sale. Now, an even bigger problem occurs when an agent allows one spouse to move forward without proper legal authorization, because a spouse may push to sell the home quickly, believing it's the best way to move on. But if the other spouse is not in agreement, or if there are unresolved financial issues tied to the property, the agent's actions can create a serious legal conflict, because courts take ATRO violations seriously. If one spouse tries to sell the home without the proper approvals, the transaction can be reversed and the violating spouse may face legal penalties. As a real estate agent handling a divorce sale must understand how to work with these legal constraints. Before listing the home, they need to confirm whether the ATRO applies and ensure both spouses have provided written consent. If one spouse refuses to sign off on the sale, the agent must work with the appropriate attorney to obtain a court order allowing the sale to proceed. And this is why it's critical to work with a divorce-trained real estate agent. An agent who understands ATROs and divorce settlement compliance will ensure that the sale is legally sound from start to finish. They will coordinate with both spouses, communicate with attorneys, and confirm that all financial and legal approvals are in place before moving forward. A general real estate agent who doesn't understand ATROs can create a financial and legal mess. Selling a home during divorce isn't just about contracts and negotiations. It's about managing two people who are often in conflict while trying to navigate one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives. And this is where general real estate agents fail, because they don't understand the role of neutrality and communication. And this is where I come in as a real estate mediation specialist, or REMS. Most agents are used to working with married couples where decisions are made jointly and everyone is aligned towards the same goal. But divorce sales are completely different. The two people selling the home are often no longer communicating. They may have different financial interests, and in many cases, they might not even trust each other. So that's why the agent's ability to remain neutral and manage communication fairly is just as important as their ability to sell the home. But here's the problem. A general real estate agent is not trained to handle high conflict situations. And if they don't know how to structure the sale correctly, they can make the divorce even worse. Now, one of the biggest mistakes an agent can make is taking direction from just one spouse while leaving the other out of the process. This happens all the time. The agent talks only to the spouse they met with first, assuming that person has the authority to make decisions. Maybe they discuss pricing, showing schedules, or even which offers should be considered, and all of that happens without the other spouse's knowledge. Then at some point, the other spouse finds out what's happening and they're furious. They feel like decisions are being made behind their back. They start questioning whether the agent is biased, and suddenly every part of the transaction is a battle. Instead of moving forward, the sale is now stalled because one or both spouses no longer trust the process. And it gets worse. When an agent allows separate private conversations to happen, information starts to get twisted. One spouse hears one version of events, the other hears something different, and now the agent is caught in the middle of a fight they never should have been part of. And this is how these small disputes turn into major legal and financial conflicts that could have been avoided. An REMS designated realtor understands that communication has to be handled differently. differently. They know that transparency is key, and they have systems in place to keep both spouses equally informed at every step of the process. This starts with structured communication. Our REMS will ensure that all major decisions, pricing, marketing, showings, negotiations, are communicated in writing and shared with both spouses at the same time. That way, no one feels like they are being left out or blindsided. They also use conflict management strategies to keep emotions in check. Divorce is stressful and disagreements are going to happen, but a trained REMS agent knows how to keep the focus on the sale, not on personal disputes. They work with both parties professionally, ensuring that decisions are made based on financial logic and not emotions. And finally, they maintain strict neutrality. A divorce-trained agent doesn't take sides. They aren't influenced by who is more involved, who is easier to work with, and who wants to move faster. Their job is to facilitate a fair and efficient transaction that protects both spouses and gets them to closing without unnecessary drama. Because when communication is mishandled, it doesn't just create stress, it can completely derail the sale. The home can sit on the market longer than it should, offers can be lost, and in some cases, one spouse may try to block the sale altogether just out of frustration. And this is why choosing the right real estate agent in a divorce sale isn't optional, it's critical. An agent who doesn't understand the unique communication challenges of a divorce transaction can make an already difficult situation even worse. Now, let's talk about the financial and mortgage pitfalls that many divorcing homeowners don't even realize exist until it's too late. Most divorcing homeowners assume that selling their home is a straightforward transaction. They believe they will either sell and split the proceeds, or one spouse will refinance and buy out the other. But what they don't realize is that divorce fundamentally changes mortgage qualifications and financial planning. And if these factors aren't addressed correctly, it can create major financial problems long after the sale is finalized. So one of the biggest mistakes happens when a spouse plans to keep the home but doesn't fully understand what it takes to qualify for a mortgage on their own. They assume they can simply refinance, maybe remove their ex from the loan, which, by the way, is actually not even possible, and then move forward from there. But after the divorce is finalized, they realize that their income is no longer enough to qualify, or that spousal and child support isn't counted by the lender the way they expected. By the time they find out, it's too late. They either struggle to make payments or are forced to sell the home under pressure, losing control of the process. A certified divorce lending professional, or CDLP, plays a critical role in making sure this doesn't happen. A CDLP specializes in navigating the financial and mortgage challenges specific to divorce and helps homeowners determine whether an equity buyout is truly even possible. They analyze how income, support payments, debt, and assets will be evaluated by lenders after the divorce is final. And this ensures that before a spouse commits to keeping the home, they know whether they can actually qualify for the loan. When we do any real estate consultation related to divorce, a CDLP advisor is always included to provide guidance on lending requirements and options, because a major financial mistake happens when one spouse assumes they will have no trouble buying a new home after selling the marital property. They count on using their share of the proceeds for a down payment, only to discover that because of changes to their income, debt obligations, or credit profile after the divorce, they don't qualify for a mortgage at all. Many don't realize that spousal or child support payments must meet strict lending guidelines before they count as qualifying income. So a CDLP helps divorcing homeowners avoid these problems by creating a strategy for their next home purchase before the sale of the marital home is finalized. They ensure that the financial terms of the divorce are structured in a way that allows both spouses to qualify for a mortgage when they are ready to move forward. A general real estate agent just isn't trained to address these risks. They focus on getting the home sold, but they don't consider whether the sale aligns with the divorcing couple's financial needs or mortgage qualifications. And that's why working with an RCS-D and REMS and a CDLP in partnership is essential. They don't just help sell the home, they ensure that the entire process is structured in a way that supports both spouses' financial futures. Because when divorcing homeowners don't have the right professionals guiding them, they can end up locked out of refinancing, unable to buy another home, or face unexpected financial burdens after the sale. Because selling a home during a divorce is one of the most financially and legally complex real estate transactions. But it's not just about getting the best offer or closing the sale quickly, it's about making sure the process is handled correctly. So now we've covered 5 of the biggest mistakes divorcing homeowners make when choosing the wrong real estate agent. A general agent may not mean to cause problems, but without training in divorce real estate, they can easily create conflict, violate court orders, compromise confidentiality, or leave one or both spouses with financial issues they never saw coming. So this is why it's critical to work with an agent who holds both the RCS-D, or Real Estate Collaboration Specialist in Divorce, and REMS, Real Estate Mediation Specialist designations. These credentials ensure that the agent understands the legal, financial, and emotional complexities of a divorce sale and can manage the transaction neutrally and effectively, because a real estate transaction in divorce should never add more stress or create additional conflict. When done right, it should be a step toward resolution, not another battle. So before you list your home, ask yourself, does my agent understand how to keep this sale confidential? Are they neutral and able to manage communication fairly between both spouses? Do they know how to comply with divorce legal restrictions to avoid unnecessary delays? Do they have the correct training and designations to specialize in divorce real estate? So if you're in this situation and want to ensure your home sale is handled correctly, let's talk. I work extensively with divorcing homeowners to help them navigate these complexities of selling their home and ensure that the transaction aligns with their goals. So click the link below to schedule a consultation. And I hope this video has been informative and helpful. And remember, comment below if you have any general questions or comments. But if you have anything specific or confidential, please remember to contact me by phone or email. Don't post in the comment section, please. But thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next video.